Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. This video will be an answer to many questions we've received related to having zero friends, finding yourself walking the solo path, why it is like that, and where things may start to change. Also, one question was, what's the difference between knowing what I want and knowing who I want to be? So thank you firstly for all of those really important questions. And before we start, I want to read something I wrote today as an introduction for today's message, and then we go into the topic. So today I wrote this interesting saying that goes like this: please remember that your steps are footprints for someone who sees you as an example. When you walk in truth, righteousness, and wonder, your footprints are paving a path of liberation. It may seem like a solo path right now, but the future generations will be forever grateful to you. And I want to borrow a wisdom from Native Americans who say that we haven't received the world, the Gaia, by our ancestors. We are borrowing it from those who will come after us, right? We are borrowing it from the next generations. That's why it's so important to become aware of the path we're walking, the examples we're being, who we are becoming, right? Knowing and having this awareness of who we are becoming, as each choice is building a life we're living. Our life is made out of tiny little choices we make on moment-by-moment basis. And when we're not aware of our choices, we may say, oh, there's faith that is taking place. And it is. Faith is like a pre-written story of your life that was written by you before you came here. But there's a factor of a free will that is an ability to step outside of the habitual programs that were programmed into you at the times of your childhood by your environment. And free will then allows you to actually start thinking with your own brain, start thinking with your own mind, and step outside of these habitual programs and ask yourself, well, is this good for you? Is this healthy for you? Is this flourishing for you, nurturing for you? And if the answer is no, like Epictetus would say, it's a sign of a need for learning. It's a sign of a need for learning, right? You came to the point where it's time to learn something new. And many of you may find yourself being at that phase of your life where it's time for learning. So you may feel deeply drawn to books, to philosophy, to cultures, to different traditions, to different teachings, to different teachers, and so on and so on. And to videos like this, for example, you feel deeply drawn because you know you can find some value there, something you maybe your parents had no capacity to give you, or had no of this kind of understanding to give you, or your caregivers, or whoever, your school teachers, or your priest, or whoever. So you found yourself in the position where you've recognized, okay, I have a need for learning. I want to learn more about life, what we've been talking in previous videos. And Aristotle said, there's only one way for the good to be good, but so many ways to be bad, right? Isn't that true? So many ways to do things wrongly, and only one way to do it right. And to find that one way that is right, we have to be aware of what feels right. And to be aware of what feels right, we have to know ourselves better. We can't say, well, this feels right because it feels natural. Like whatever we are used to do, it feels natural to us because it's our habit, it's our lifestyle. So we feel, yeah, it feels right because it's comfortable. But usually what feels right is discomfortable often because it challenges our belief systems. It challenges our fears. It challenges our ideas and perception. So it would make cracks within our ego. So the light of the soul can be expressed through it, right? So your ego must be challenged to such a degree that at some point it surrenders to life. And to me it happened at the times of my deepest challenges in life, at the times of at my darkest times. It happens that I had no idea what to do. I had no conscious solution to solve the problem, and at some point I was so miserable that I said, well, I have enough of this. I don't know what to do. And when I surrendered, I started to feel, well, I'm sure there is a way. And it was like a birth of an inner fire. So when we go through these dark phases, we recognize, well, not many people are doing that. Not many people are learning new things in life. Most people, when they quit school or certain type of education, they stop learning. But what you've recognized in your life, you don't want to stop learning, because life, more we learn, more we know how little we know, right? And we don't know what we don't know. That's why we want to learn. So life is a constant school of learning. That's why we are here. But most people are not doing that. That's why when you embark on this journey of life's education, you recognize that most people stop vibing with you. Most people start saying to you, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you going crazy? Reading all these weird books? What's wrong with you? Going on these courses? Oh, have you fallen into a trap of self-help? Have you fallen into a trap of spirituality? All kinds of things you may hear. And those are then these tests from the matrix system, how strong you are. Will you fall back into the matrix mentality? Or do you want to walk this path of liberation? Like I said, please remember that your steps are footprints for someone who sees you as an example. Because you are being an example. Even you may say, nobody's watching me. Everyone is watching you. Everyone is watching you. Even though most of the time we're not conscious, but on subconscious level, we observe everything that surrounds us. We see and experience everything that surrounds us. And because of our mirror neurons in the brain, we start copying the behaviors of others. So it becomes our nature, even though sometimes we copy something we don't want to do. That's how every time we do something, we are being an example of it. And when you're wondering, well, am I doing what I actually want to see more on this world? Am I feeding the solutions? Am I being the version of myself I actually want to be? I start setting these deep questions to myself. Am I on a right path? Am I on a righteous path? And it's important because usually it puts us onto a solar path. And it kind of detaches us from regular people. We recognize, well, I'm done with being regular. I'm done with being average. I'm done with all this ignorance and limited way of thinking. And that's when you start giving a birth to exceptional, being exceptional, because you've come here exceptional soul, spirit. You've come here exceptional child that has been programmed into being a certain identity that will fit into a system of society. But system started falling apart long time ago. Some people have noticed that, and most of this kind of people started wondering what's the other way. What's the way of the light, the way of the truth, the way of a new society? What is a new society? That's where we come to the question, what's the difference between what I want and who I want to be? Because what you want is not necessarily who you want to be. You want money firstly and certain material things so you can feel safe and you can provide to yourself and to your family. It's all good with that. But it's not a limitation of who you want to be. It's just something that will allow you to become more, right? But knowing who you want to be requires deep introspection, like what kind of example you want to be firstly for yourself. When you look around you, what kind of people you admire? Do you admire celebrities? Or it's hard for you to find anyone whom you would admire? I know in my environment there's not many examples. I would say, oh, that's something I want to do, or that's a person I want to be. So I've started looking examples in ancient teachings. Like I started looking into philosophy, Greek philosophy, ancient Indian philosophy, ancient Egyptian philosophy, to look for great examples, great teachers, great wisdom, to recognize what it means to be a good human being, what it means to flourish in life, what it means to truly be happy, to truly be joyful. And you will notice those are questions most people are not asking. That's why it puts you onto a soul path. That's why you find yourself having no friends, because on deep subconscious level, you don't fit into these artificial programs. You don't fit in because you know it's not natural. And what is not natural is not sustainable. And what's not sustainable is exhausting, isn't it? It's limiting, it's limiting us. So you're naturally drawn into natural system. It's not that the system is bad. System is part of nature. Nature loves systems. That's why your brain loves habits. Habit is a system of behaviors for which you don't require much effort once they're established, right? So we all love systems. The question is what kind of systems we're feeding and maintaining. So we need to become aware, okay, is the lifestyle I am maintaining right now sustainable for me? And is it allowing me to flourish? Am I doing what waters the flower of my life? Right? In ancient teachings, heart represents the flower of life. Am I watering it? Am I opening it, nurturing it? So when you find yourself having zero friends, it's something I want to congratulate you firstly, because you found yourself not fitting into society. But it's not a finish line. It's just a middle point of your journey. And that middle point of your journey is reminding you to find this one way that is good for you. One way that is good for you. There's many different paths. And each path can be the one that is good if you take it with the right intention, right? They say all paths eventually lead you to the same finish line. Just that you go through different experiences that will trigger you in similar ways to activate the person within yourself you have to be. Rumi said, one day you will awaken within yourself. You will rise from within. And what he meant by that is that one day you will remember that it's not what triggers you, but rather what has been triggered within you. And what has been triggered activated the parts of you that eventually will guide you into greatness. Like when someone says something negative to you, you may complain about that, and you may cry about it, and you may say, oh, that person is really mean. But at some point when you stop reacting, you may wonder, okay, why I felt so triggered because of that? And you will notice, well, because I think I'm much better than what that person sees within me. But why that person sees me like that? Was I behaving like this? Was there something unconscious I was doing? Or is it just that that person don't belong into my life? And it will make you a different person. you will make changes in your life because of this introspection. You will notice, okay, I don't want to hang with those people anymore, or I want to be less reactive to what people say to me. And to be less reactive means to just see everything as it's supposed to happen. I'm supposed to hear those words. Like me, as I'm making these videos on YouTube, naturally I receive criticism here and there. And I see those critics as something to learn from. Sometimes someone says like, you're, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen some negative comments. There's not many of them. But, you know, sometimes I see them and I say, oh, yeah, maybe I was going in too much in certain extremes here. Okay, was I loose on moderation, or what happened? And I reflect on it and I see what can I learn. So, you know, every time we start doing something like that, it's natural that suddenly we start walking away from the crowd and we start to feel alone on this path. And during alone time, we have a lot of time for reflection. We have a lot of time for becoming more familiar with who we are. So rather than, you know, constantly distracting yourself why being alone is bad and why you feel lonely and is this a sign of depression and so on and so on, find out why it's good for you. Find out what type of opportunities alone time is giving to you. Because we all notice that the fire will burn only when we feed it, when we put wood onto it. It's like, you know, you can feed the anger or you can feed the kindness and love and truth. So the way we ask ourselves is the way we feel and we receive answers about. And when you find yourself being alone, it's a really incredible time for researching your natural capabilities, your natural talents, your natural skills. Keep building on something. You will have less time in the future when there will start happening more and more things, when you will meet more people and you will become busier. Right now we have this opportunity that is maybe unique for your lifetime. You never know. And if you don't know, you may waste it. But if you know, you will appreciate it. I know that when I was at the beginning of this journey, I had more time than ever before. Today, I don't have as much time anymore. I'm quite busier today. But back at that time, I had, you know, a lot of time to think about my future, to think about myself, to reflect about my life and to write down my goals and to work on anything that was important to me. I still take time every single day for reflection and all of those things. But, you know, each time of our lives give us unique opportunities. And we need to see them for what they are. So when you find yourself in the place of not having friends, not having support, it's an important phase of your life, and life is challenging you to recognize it, because you can easily go back to old circles, old way of living, old way of thinking, or you can grow into new circles that will eventually find you. I know when I was out of this phase, I've started meeting completely new people. After I've started making a lot of art, it just introduced me to whole new people who are on much different level. Some were entrepreneurs, some were doctors or scientists, some were deep in certain spiritual philosophies and healers and mystics. I've started meeting all kinds of new people. And it only happened because I've raised myself from where I used to be. And that's what life wants you to do. So don't be too obsessed by where you are or what is happening, but see it for what it is offering to you right at this moment. Be careful with too many distractions, because you may start to think that where you are right now is not good for you. And you shouldn't stop thinking where to go from here. So create goals so you have something to aim towards, and make sure that what you are aiming towards is something greater than where you used to be. Something that feels scary a little bit, but at the same time exciting. So when you're thinking about your future self, you're not thinking just about what you have, but you rather think about who you are becoming. Because what you want can only be supported by a certain version of yourself that feels natural about it, that feels worthy of it. So you need to know that you're the source of whatever you're building. If you want to be prosperous in your life, you need to become a version of yourself that feels worthy of having all kinds of abundance. Nature made you an abundant individual, and society made you broke in knowledge, in feelings, in emotions, and in action. So what we have to let go of is the programming of society, and what we need to level up in is the education of life, emotion of life. What is emotion of life? It's flow state. The deepest emotion of life is flow state. That's why nature is constantly flowing. It doesn't matter how it is flowing. Sometimes it's harsh, sometimes it's really calm, but it's flowing. You will have hard times, you will have easy times, but as long as you're flowing, you're one with nature. When you feel stuck, you have to really be careful. Are you truly stuck, or do you just believe you're stuck? Because if you're really stuck, it means you've stopped growing, you've stopped working on yourself, you've stopped exposing yourself, expressing yourself, challenging yourself. But if you're doing all of that and you're saying you're stuck, it's an illusion, it's a mental illusion. You're not stuck. You're just going through the process and you're not seeing results yet. But it doesn't mean they're not happening. When you plant a seed, it slowly starts, growing these tiny little roots that are invisible to the surface. And then suddenly one day, a green leaf starts, to break through the surface. And then it starts growing really, really fast once it reaches the light. And that's you. At one point you will reach the light. And when you get to that point, you will notice there are so many people who've been waiting you. And they will say the same way, oh, it just feels like we were meant to connect. Nowadays I'm meeting people who are like a pure synchronicity. Like we meet and it's like we know each other for eternity. That's what kind of people I'm meeting these days. And it's happening to all of us. Once we, go from these old circles that we called friends, that were actually just people to entertain us or whatever, and we recognize, well, I want to do something with my life. And you go into a phase of solo path, zero friends. You're being isolated or whatever. And you decide to grow through it. You decide to open up as that seed and grow some roots in that new version of yourself. So it gets grounded and it takes some time. And then slowly you open up a little bit more and you give space for more growth. You start practicing certain new things, building new skills. And that's the time when this tiny little leaf breaks through the surface. You reach the light and you start growing and you start meeting other individuals that are on that similar vibration. And everything just starts expanding and expanding. And that's a birth of a new society. It's happening right now. We see it all around us. So, my friends, I hope you found something valuable today. I want to remind you, when you walk in truth, righteousness, and wonder, your footprints are paving a path of liberation. If any of that resonates with you, hit the like button, my friend. And thank you so much for supporting my art. I want to remind you, we are running a unique sale, 20 off to all of my art. The link is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for support. And with that, you're supporting this mission, for which I'm truly grateful for. My friends, till next time, stay beautiful, stay magnificent, stay creative and strong, and one love.